freaking bats. I love Halloween. Hello again! Welcome back to another week with me. Do I look scary? Do I look editorial? Do I look chic? Who knows? So this week's video, I kind of was inspired. We watched a couple of vampire movies, and by a couple, I mean Vampire in Brooklyn. I was thinking a lot about vampires recently just because there are a few movies on our list that have it. Oh wait, no, we watched From Dusk Till Dawn too. That has vampires in it. They're not cute vampires, but there's some naked vampires. Obviously, there's usually when I think of a vampire, I think of like a really in-depth smoky eye or like a really intense like brow because they're like bats, freaking bats. But yeah, since we've been watching so many different movies that have vampires involved in them, I kind of wanted to see where my inspiration went. It's like, oh, you know, if I was ever a vampire, what would I want my face to look like, I guess? And so this is what I came up with. Pretty pleased with the way it turned out. Obviously, it took me a little bit of time just because of the angles and trying to get everything somewhat symmetrical on my weird face. And I'm really excited to just sit on the couch for the next like few hours and watch some more horror movies and maybe play some Mario Kart looking like this. But once again, if you do want to see more Halloween ideas, or if there's any ideas that you want to throw my way, feel free to put them in the comment section below and give this video a thumbs up if you like the way it turned out as well and you don't think I look crazy. And subscribe, of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already. It would mean the world. The world. It would mean the world. Is that what I would sound like if I was a vampire? No.
The world?
The world. If you want to see how I put together this situation on my face, then just keep watching. All right, here we go. Look at these baby hairs. Looking fly. All right, so I already did my foundation, concealer, brows, and all that because, you know, it's boring. So save us some time. I'm going to go in and prime my eyes using the Anastasia primer because it's nice and bright. And then I'm going to go in with this Makeup Forever eyeshadow that I've had for years and a teeny tiny little blending brush. And then I'm going to go ahead and map out the cut crease. Basically, the best way that I can describe how to do this is look straight into a mirror, like straight on, and essentially apply it directly above where your crease is. I'm going in very light-handed at first just to kind of get the initial map of where I want the color to be. And then once I've got that initial shape, I'm going to go in with this shade from the Mulan palette on a tiny angled brush. And I'm going to add a little bit more precision to the look, a little bit more depth. This color is more of a maroon. And using it on an angled brush, I'm able to put it right at the bottom of that buffed out line that I created, just to start to get some of that definition in on the look. Once again, continuing to look straight on into a mirror as much as possible. And then basically treating it like a wing liner. So connecting it from that outer tail and bringing it in, and then just kind of slowly buffing it back and forth. Like I said, this is a slow process. And then I'm going to go in with a third shade. This one is from the Norvina palette. This is that red tone. And this is a flat brush, but it is a little fluffy, so I'm able to apply the shadow and then buff it out. So I'm essentially buffing out that maroon line that I laid down and going over it with the brighter red tone and going back and forth. I'm not too concerned about how blown out or how buffed out the color gets because I am going to go back in and clean it here in a moment with concealer. Just buffing and stretching, buffing. All right, so now going in with the concealer. Actually, right now, I think I'm going in directly with more of the primer. Primer is another way that you can clean up a look, and since the Anastasia primer is so bright, it works pretty well for this. Essentially, just lining directly under where I buffed out and laid that initial shadow down and cleaning it up because I want it to be super precise like a graphic line. And I do clean up on the top and the bottom, and then I kind of go back in and fill out my entire lid so it keeps that nice and white and open. I do apply powder on top at some point, but I think I cut that out of the footage. So just any powder on top will just set it in place. And then now I'm going in with the liner. So I've taken the Bobbi Brown Gel black liner on an angled brush, and I'm going to map out the wings for the liner first, just so I can get them as even as possible for each eye. Starting out with one, just making sure the angle is as close as possible, and then going in and mapping out the line for the second one. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm going to end up out of frame for most of this. So this is essentially the most that you're going to see of me doing the liner. When I actually go through and extend it and get the drama to it, I was off camera for it because I had to have both hands free for some reason. Does anybody else ever notice that? Like, you need to have both hands free in order to do your liner? And then I'm going to start on my under eye. So that same angled brush that I used initially, I'm going to take that first Makeup Forever shade and apply it to my lower lash line, and to get the angle as close as possible to match up with the black liner. And then I'm essentially trying to follow the shape of the upper line, if that makes sense. You'll start to see kind of how it looks like they blend together. I do bring it into my inner corner quite a bit, which is usually not something I would do just because I have that like kind of deeper set under eye area, so you can see it kind of starts to settle in there. But once I cleaned it up with a little bit of concealer here in a moment, I feel like I get the precision that I want and it looks pretty cool. Once again, the biggest thing with doing a graphic line look like this on yourself is always taking a step back and checking your angles. Check it from straight on, check it from the side, and work slow. This took me an hour and a half total, not just on the eyes, but with my makeup and filming and doing all of that. Like, the video took me an hour and a half to shoot. So just go slow and be patient with yourself, and know that concealer, for example, eyeshadow primer, Q-tips, those are going to be the best way to clean up any mistakes or any like areas of the line that you want to be really crisp. And then I'm going to go in and finish the rest of my face. I'm just going to contour a little bit with the Smashbox contour kit.
And I tried to keep the contour a little more angular just because I think of a vampire and I think of angles. So I really focused on that good old double chin. And then I'm just applying my NARS blush. I wanted the blush to be really soft since the eyes are very red, obviously. So this is the NARS Orgasm blush, and if you put it on a fan brush, it makes it a little bit more soft. And then I'm going in with a Kat Von D liquid lip. I believe this is the shade Vampira, which is funny. It's just a really deep wine color. This is riveting. Liquid lipstick is one of the most stressful things you can apply.
Finish right in time for the sun to be directly in my face. This is what I came up with. I don't know if I was just inspired by vampires being very like angular, or if I was like channeling some Black Swan, or we watched a lot of What We Do in the Shadows, and Natasha's makeup on that is very like cool and funky, so kind of wanted to do a different play on it and do something a little interesting. Obviously it takes quite a bit of time to at least get like the angles right. Like I said in the past, like I have a pretty heavy fold, so as far as like getting stuff even or the angles as close as possible, it can take a little bit of time, so you need a little bit of patience for it. But I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. Different, right? It's different. It's fun. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Like I said before, if you want to see any additional Halloween inspired looks, or just like everyday looks or fall inspired looks, please leave a comment below and let me know what you're interested in seeing. Otherwise, I will see y'all next week. I hope you have a good rest of your week. Bye.